Mr. Ruther, you are aware that you were previously sworn and you're still under oath, correct?
Correct.
And you may proceed, sir.
I object to the expansion outright because of the long-term testimony that's been going on about the bars in this first ward. We are increasing the density of alcohol service in the first ward. Soon there'll be a hotel, which will also have a license to serve alcohol.
This is the fourth ward.
Fourth, I'm sorry.
Oh, wait, no.
First ward,
This is the
downtown.
first and close to the fourth. Okay.
So
Sorry.
we have a problem with increased density. There appears to be no limit on what that density is. My concern is that the approval of this expansion is going to set a precedent which is going to hamstring the council in the future. So the council will be limited in its ability to regulate or determine the appropriate amount of alcohol consumption, bar use in that district. We can't set a precedent that allows what I guess is going to be called a restaurant up until 1 o'clock, but then is going to be something after 1 o'clock that is not defined as a restaurant. I don't know what that is. So do we set a precedent by having a establishment that can have two uses under the same liquor license, under the same roof? It can be a restaurant, but then it can be for, what, another hour, however long, something else which is not a restaurant? I don't know. It would seem to me that approval of this expansion of a liquor license, and I don't know how far a liquor license can stretch. Is there a limit to how far a liquor license can stretch? Is the council required to approve the expansion? Something to consider. I don't know if they are, but if they're not required, then they shouldn't approve the expansion, because also we have a problem which has not been mitigated. We continue to have a problem with noise. Public disturbance, which includes urination, defecation, vomit. I routinely see alcohol thrown out of cars, broken bottles on people's property, all that sort of thing. Property damage continues to occur. So we're not actually gaining control of the situation. We're giving it a new name, we're giving it more parameters, we're allowing more density of this sort of thing in our first ward. This can't be approved without some sense of what limitations are, what district can handle, what the actual definition of this expansion is, whether this expansion is going to remain a restaurant or remain a grand cantina, whether this passage here is actually guaranteed to be limited to employees only, or whether that is flexible in terms of use, whether people can actually pass through here. We have no guarantee whether that's going to be used specifically for that. I also challenge the notion that moving the actual face of the facade forward to meet the plane along the street is only going to increase 12 square feet. I occupy 12 square feet if I lay on the ground with my legs a little wide. That's 12 square feet. So I challenge this measurement as being 12 square feet. I think if the front facade of the current harm moves forward, you will increase the capacity of the storefront. You'll from 150 to what? If we have to increase the square footage, or if the square footage is increased, that would then assume that the capacity of that establishment increases. 12 square feet, I think that's challengeable by quite a bit. If we went up there and measured it, like I said, I occupy 12 square feet. So, no guarantees that this won't increase floor space. No guarantees that this will remain employees only. No guarantees about how the trash is actually going to be handled, especially since we seem to have continuing problems with the established restaurant bars here. So if this is not under control, we can't expect that another establishment under the same ownership will remain under control. And we haven't changed anything in the first ward in terms of getting our community back to the peaceableness that it deserves and is by law provided for. And that would be quiet after 11:30. Anything after that is disturbance of the peace, screaming, yelling, cars racing, fights. Bottles broken, it just doesn't end. And so we are continuing this rather than rolling it back. A restaurant would be great if it was a restaurant. We're not there. We're not there. Especially if we're trying to call it two things, or if it's changing its definition at 1 o'clock in the morning. So, can you give one definition to this, or do you have to give two? And if the council approves it, it would seem to me you set a precedent where you can be both a restaurant and perhaps a bar under the same license. That's my concern. And there is no requirement that this council approve the expansion. No requirement.
Thank you, Mr. Ruther. Mr. Williams, you have questions?
Yes, Council. Your concern, sir, is density,
Density of alcohol consumption in the first ward, yeah.
and you were sitting in a room when I represented to this council and everybody here that the existing people that are entitled to go to the facility will not change?
I heard that, but I don't, there's no guarantee that that will remain the case.
I'm putting that on the record. It's a special condition that we will consent to. So your concern for density is really not for real, is it? If the same people were there today that will be there tomorrow after this approval, you're concerned about density.
Well, currently, there is nobody at the bar. So you say today, there's no one there.
No,
So
maybe you're
if you
not
turn that into a bar or a restaurant, it would seem to me that you're increasing it because at bar, currently, there's nothing there.
No, the existing restaurants that are there, Iron Bar and Revolution, have an occupancy of 1,043.
Right, which is unverifiable.
Well, what do you say unverifiable? That's what's been stipulated by the town
Okay.
in court papers, and no one has challenged it. Do you have anything to disagree with that?
Well, it
Do
would
you have any
seem,
facts that you can give the board tonight that that's not the occupancy?
it may be the occupancy, but can it be verified that the occupancy is either being complied with or not being complied with? How do we verify that?
If the same number of people are going to come to this location, before or after, how does that density increase?
Talking about the district where we have approved liquor licenses all throughout, we've just approved a restaurant. How much of this can this district handle?
I'm not concerned about what somebody else did. I'm concerned.
Right, well, this is our
about what we
community though, this is what we're concerned
We're
about.
putting the same people there. I don't understand why you're not following this. So we put the same people there today, while there tomorrow if this is approved. The only difference being that they have an opportunity to enjoy Mexican food. How does that interfere with your density?
Well, one, there's no guarantee that it's going to be the same people. Two, if you have a place that's open until 2 o'clock.
Are you grasping this? We are stipulating.
Let him answer the question. Answer the question. Mr. Williams will ask you his next question.
Okay. No, there's no guarantee that that number is going to remain 1,046. It can be on paper that that's what is, the limit is, but in practice, we can't affirm that that's the case, just like we can't manage the noise problem. There is an ordinance in town that says quiet after 11:30. Well, we don't have that.
Where do you
We
live?
don't have it. I'm 51 South Street.
Is that a house?
It is a public building. I am the caretaker with a legal right to live there.
So you're the caretaker of a public building. Approximately how far is that from the premises, the farm, the former farm and the Iron Barn Revolution?
Maybe 150 yards.
150 yards. And you're concerned living in that public building at night that you're disturbed by the noise 150 yards away?
Right, because we have 1,000 you know, by on paper, over 1,000 people, 1,040-something people, occupying a single space, which constitutes a majority of the attendees of bars. It constitutes in that area a majority. Therefore, that space contributes an outsized share of patrons on our streets after the hours of 11:30 who are making a tremendous amount of noise, littering, drinking before they go in, drinking when they come out, arguing.
Do you have any facts that you could give the board to verify that? For example, have you ever seen a violation served upon either of these establishments?
I have not witnessed a violation, but to continue that, what I have
Questions,
witnessed...
sir? You can sit down. I have no further questions.
Board, do you have any more questions?
I guess I have one follow-up question, and maybe it's Mr. Williams. Of the 1,046 that is the maximum capacity, what percentage of that is regularly in attendance at the two establishments?
Oh, that's only a few hours a week. You can go there on a Monday, it's closed. Tuesday, you're not going to find that number. You're talking about Thursday, Friday, maybe Saturday, if it ever gets to that number.
So would it make sense then, if you add this other establishment, that the number of times that now you're splitting from 2 establishments into 3 establishments, would it make sense that the number of times you get close to that 1,046 is probably increasing substantially?
Probably not with this type of operation. That's what I think you have to keep your eyes focused on.
Probably? Okay.
Very small bar, 14 seats, restaurant area. I don't think that you're going to see the time periods that we're talking about, 10 o'clock on, being the busiest time for this location. But still, we're giving everybody a comfort level. There's 1,043 permitted. We could add more on. We're not going to do it. If we don't get approved here tonight, somebody else is going to come in there. They're going to add 150 people to this. I don't know what type of operation they're going to have, but you're going to get more people. We're giving you the comfort level. You get no more people.
And just for the record, is your intent to count the number of people and sort of stop people when they come in, in and out, or what? How do you envision to it?
Absolutely, they have to count.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mr. Rooser, your 5 minutes are up, but I didn't give that admonition prior to you standing up, so I don't know if you have anything else you want to add other than that.
No, I thought I'd stand there and look good for a little bit.
Very handsome man.
You wanna-